I think it's really important to recognise that in a narcissistic or abusive relationship, you have a breaking point, and sooner or later you're going to reach it. I spent 5 years with a man who had me on a roller coaster constantly. Every few months, sometimes more often, he would pack his bags and leave. I'd have no idea where he was going. I'd have no contact with him. He'd completely ignore me. He'd often leave me right in the lurch with children and work, and he would just disappear off the face of the earth. It was always after some kind of ridiculous argument that he'd create. He'd then gaslight me that it was my fault and that I was the problem and he had no choice but to get away from me because I was crazy. And then he'd come back and he'd be incredibly charming, and sometimes he'd be in the kitchen baking a cake, or he'd be taking everyone out for dinner and making everything fun again. I felt so much guilt, so much shame. No one had a clue what was going on, not even my children, who I made excuses about him for constantly, until the last time he did it. One day he got up, he left, and that was it. Something just clicked. My heart just was broken completely. But it was more than just that. It was just a complete point of no return. A few days later I told him, and a few weeks later he was gone. We all have a breaking point.